Hello, I'm Krista Gibson with Growing Older and Wiser. Welcome. I know that there are a number of you who are new to this Substack newsletter. Welcome. Delighted to have you here. And I wanted to mention something initially, which is if whoever's watching this, whether you've been around here for a while or not, if you haven't watched the earlier videos that I did back in December, I believe it was, of 2022, when I started this newsletter, the idea was that it was actually a course that I had thought about giving in another format. And then I decided, no, I'm going to do it through Substack because I have my other newsletter, Living in Grace and Ease. And I thought, I'll make this a newsletter, but I'll make it mostly video. And in the early ones, I really go through a lot about growing older and some of the issues we face and ways to deal with them and what my background is and all of that. So if you're relatively new, you might, and you haven't seen those, you might want to work that in somewhere because it really does give you a really good base to what I'm talking about and where I'm coming from with all of this. So just kind of wanted to toss that out there. And if you have been watching from the beginning, then you know already the things that I've talked about. Today, what I want to talk about, and I wanted to mention, I do try to keep these relatively short. I respect your time. And also, I think that, if you give information in bits, as opposed into really long things, the chances of retaining and using the information is higher. So anyway, here we go. I want to talk today about our past, and I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to talk about it today in a little bit of a different way. I don't want to talk so much about releasing our past. That is the way that it's tended to be discussed. I want to talk about integrating our past. And there's a real difference. When we integrate our past, it's a process we go through. And our past, good, bad, and indifferent, becomes a part of who we are. Instead of just being held out there, something that happened back then, and yeah, I accept it and I'm okay with it. No, you embrace it. It's like, hey, that made me who I am today, or part of what made me who I am today. And when we look at things from a quantum viewpoint, which I won't go into, I know many of you know what I'm referring to. It's the energy beyond the energy. And when you look at things from a quantum perspective, past, present, and future all exist right now. All of our past lives, all of our future lives, all of our current, everything, it's all together. It's one pot of soup. It's just that different pieces are in there. Well, if you look at it that way, then what you understand is everything that happened in our past is part of who we are today, and it still exists. When I don't integrate it, then it every now and then raises its little hand and says, notice me, notice me. And that's when we get into strange situations where we do and say and think things that we go, who the heck is that? That's not me. No, it's not. It's another part of me that I haven't really integrated. And so because I haven't integrated it and made friends with it, it comes up wanting to be noticed, and sometimes not in the very nice ways. So the first thing to do to befriend our past is to own it. And so that means the good, the bad, the ugly. Own your past. Don't say, I'm not guilty of this, or I didn't do well at that, or whatever. Just own your past. Your past is what your past is, and treasure it. As I said a minute ago, it's part of what makes you who you are. And so the first thing is own your past as part of who you are. There is a process, and I think it's from NLP, but I wouldn't swear to that. And this is something you can try on your own. I know there's people who lead people through the process, but you can do it on your own. And that is to get in a meditative or a quiet space and see your life as a line from the year or date you were born all the way up to the current time. Some people like to divide it into 7-year segments, other people 5. I just kind of like to float over my life and kind of float above there and look at your life and see what's there. And when you look at things, when you've integrated something, when you see it or experience it, there's no huge plus or minus. It's more of an is, and you're able to smile. As you go through your lifeline and go all the way from birth, things you don't even remember, all the way through adolescence and young adulthood and so on and so forth, look at it all and see your reaction to different events. And take note of the events that you have a strong reaction to, especially if it's a negative reaction. Really take note of those, because those are the ones that you then want to take time and sit with and integrate. So how do you integrate your past? You integrate your past by spending time with it and allowing yourself to really absorb what happened or what didn't happen, and absorb the different people, and ask yourself, what did I learn from this? What was the experience in this? Why do I think it even happened? Why do I think I did these things? Where did that come from? There will come a moment for you where it clicks and you go, okay, well, that just was what it was, and I see how it influences me today. Pretty good. And you can smile about it. You don't have a strong, oh my God, I hate that person, or oh my God, I wish I hadn't have done that. What on earth was I thinking? Now, for some people in some situations, you may want to reach out for a support group or counseling, or talk to a minister or someone like that. If there are things in your past that really get you riled up or get you to feeling guilty or making you feel mad or angry, whatever, those are ones that you might want to tag and say, if I can't integrate those on my own, then let me go talk to somebody who could help me do that. And I strongly recommend, we don't have to do all these things by ourselves. And you've been around long enough to know that, and many of you are mentors and counselors and dream workers and people like that. So you know what I'm talking about. So counseling, support group, two things I want to mention. Denial doesn't work, and you know that. You can be the queen of denial or the king of denial. Denying what happened in our past is not helpful, because it did happen. So, you just might want to put denial on the shelf and say, okay, yeah, it happened. I own it. That's the first thing. And the other is realizing what we resist persists. So if you have something in your past that you're resisting looking at, it's going to stay there until you do. So my encouragement to you is to take the time and to really sit down with all of your past. Spend some time, draw pictures, listen to music, write music about it, whatever you need to do until you can really befriend it. How do you know that you have befriended your past? Here's how. When you think of an event in your past, whether it was embarrassing or it was positive, you're able to smile about it. That's how you know. Once you can just experience it, know that it was there, not deny it, and just smile about it, you know that you've integrated it. So there you have it. I hope that's helpful to you to integrate your past. If you have some suggestions for ways that people can help integrate their past, please feel free to use the comment section and share your ideas with the rest of us. Thank you so much for being here. I truly do appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you in the very near future.